Team, my sound is audible, right? It's clear. Okay. So today we will be moving like a sessions like the Pysprk session. Okay. So I will share my screen. Please let me know if you can able to see the screen or not. Okay. So the first thing we need to be moving like a Pysprk. So the Pysprk, maybe few of them already familiar with the Pysprk. The already team, I need your input from your side. Who are working on Spark? Can you tell me in the chat who are working on the Spark in the previous your organization, in your current organization, who are getting to chance on the Spark? Let me know in the chat team. No one? No. Okay. Okay. I am new. Vishal, you are new. Okay. Team, anyone got an exposure from the Spark? No, right? Okay. Team, I need more energy because then only we can. Not much. Satya. Okay. New. Ranita, you knew. Not me. Deepak. Okay. Team, you need to give some your input from your side. Okay. So I think most of the people are new, right? So coming into this portion, I will tell you some of the like an important concept. Maybe you are confusing about like a Spark session and a Databricks session, these kind of thing. This tip is always helpful for your interviews also. So the first thing will be the engineering section, like a data kind of section is dividing into three things. First one will be the cloud engineering. Okay, cloud engineering is like, for example, whoever working on the cloud. Cloud means AWS or Azure or GCP. These are the cloud created cloud providers or the cloud product of the Microsoft Azure. The product of Microsoft is called Azure, and product of Google is called Google Cloud. Product of Amazon is called AWS. So these are the some of the cloud. Okay, the cloud is working on the cloud concept, and this is called this. Whoever working in these technologies is called a cloud engineer. For example, Azure data engineer in our stream. Then the second one will be the pure data engineer. Okay, the pure data engineer, they are mostly working on like product based companies, and they need to know complete understanding about Java and Scala, these kind of framework they are participating. And one more thing is like that they want to know about complete idea about how on premises like a, they are creating, they are installing the Spark, and previously it's like different structures in their on-premises computer itself, not cloud, on-premises itself. Then we are processing the data in the on-premises server itself. Okay, that time what the challenges is like they need to calculate how much distribution need to be do. These kind of thing the data engineers is need to aware, and they need to create the code, or maybe the Java code or the Scala code, they need to be write it. That is the portion called data engineer, pure data engineer. That is means the big data engineers, you can tell like. Then the last session is called they are working on like an ETL process, for example, SSIS. These kind of the old technologies working. Some of the few data engineers also there. Then we are cloud engineers. Okay, we are Azure data engineers. As an Azure data engineer or cloud data engineer, we need to know about some of the basic concepts like Azure Data Factory. Okay, Azure Data Factory, Databricks, Synapse. These are the some components we are using. But we need to know about some of the understanding about big data concept also. Otherwise, you cannot clear the interview perspective. The coming into the big data, like a normal data engineer, I already mentioned normal data engineers main purpose, they need to handle the data and distribution. You can think like a new data or a 1 crore data is coming, they are capable to splitting the data into different node. That kind of situation is called a data engineer. They need to be calculate, write the hard coding programs like a Java, most probably Java. So it will take some time to learn these kind of technologies. But Spark is the first thing or the fastest engine on the on purposes handle the big data in the previous decade. Okay, so we need to install the Spark. Maybe you can aware about Spark is an open source. We can install the Spark in your computer, and you can allocate your program. You need to be right on top of that one. Then we can allocate. That was the Spark was using. But coming into the cloud, I will tell you again. If the recruiters also asking, do you experience in Spark? You need to be mentioned clearly. Mention you don't have experience in Spark. You have experience in Databricks, and you mention cloud version of Spark is called Databricks. That we are working hard. Okay, as a pure data engineer, we need to know about Spark, but it's now it's like a not that much of level. They are more focusing on the cloud level, cloud focused. Then here, then coming into Pysprk. Definitely, the previous in 2029 when I was looking on the job, what happened like the most of the questions like from Python code, and we were writing the code in the Python itself. But nowadays things are changed. The last 2.5 years, data was large. Every day, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere data generation is every day it will be increasing. There's no decrease on the data generation. People are increasing, different apps are generating, and data is increasing a high amount. So we need to deal with the data in an efficient method. So previously we write the code in the Python format or SQL format, but that now is not that much of capable to handle this much of data. Then the solution will be Pysprk. Okay. Then the Pysprk is the combination of the Python. The Python means if you have to Python, the code in the Python means flexibility, easy to understand rather than Java. There is a less code we need to be right. But in the Java, I already tell you in the previous classes, Java, if you need this much of code block, a Python need a single code block. So that kind of thing you can see here also, a very small code and easy to understand. That is the main reason about the means Python. Okay, then Spark means process the data fastly. That is the main advantages of Spark. Then we combine both the Spark and Python. What will happen, it will be give more power. So that is the reason these days PySpark is demanding. If you attending any of the interview, you can get a question like in the PySpark. So the PySpark is a Spark library written in the Python to run the Python application using the Apache Spark capabilities. Using the PySpark can run in the application parallelly on the distributed cluster or the multiple node. Spark basically written in Java. Later, due to the industry adaptation, it's an API. PySpark released for Python by using the py4j. The py4j is a Java library that is integrated within the PySpark that allow the Python dynamically interface with the JVM object. Hence, to run the PySpark, you can need to Java install along with the Python and Apache Spark. I already mentioned because in the previous cases also, the Java was the framework, is the built-in framework for the Spark. If you are a big data engineer, the Java is a mandatory skill, Java programming. Then coming into, but if you once you completed the cloud, if you are really interested to coding kind of thing, you can learn Java. You can move into like a data engineers also. But if you're not comfortable with these kind of coding and all, but if you need to safe play, you can use a cloud data engineering. So here itself there are some object like Python, and the combination of Spark is called PySpark. Now I think you can get the complete idea. But you cannot run these PySpark in a single framework. You need to be installed the Java, because Spark is a like a framework already on top of the Java framework. That is the main thing. Here it is using like that. Okay, now I got an idea. You got an idea about what is PySpark, the combination of Python plus Spark. Then is called a Pysprk. Then we are moving like what are the capabilities, or why this much of demand in the Pyspark programming in the industry. That is the one we are moving to next thing. Okay, give me 1 minute, team. Okay, so next one we need to be looking about the, you can see here, additionally for the development of anaconda, normally where you can use the item. That is another question where you need to be practice. So team, I need your help from like a voting also. Normally, different ways we can use a Pysprk environment, but my suggestion, you need to create a Databricks. Okay, I'm just writing like Databricks Community Edition. So, team, hope you all have the account in the Community Edition. Please let me know. Do you have the Community Edition in your hand? Because we are practicing our PySpark code in the Community Edition. Different ways, but we are practicing. Yes. Shia, Shiam. You have okay, team. Please let me know. I need everyone in your you have in the like a database community edition because the two ways we can easily do this one. Why I'm telling like that? We can practice the Databricks also. Then we can learn the PySpark code also. No, okay. So this is the one. So how you can go like that? First, you can see here. Try with this page. Okay, so I'm just sharing it here also in the chat. Database Community Edition. Okay, this is mandatory team. This is mandatory. Okay, so you can see here sign up for the Database Community Edition. So how to be? You can do this one. So click on this one. Okay, and you need to be giving like your first name, last name, and these kind of thing you need to be mentioned. Company name. This is not a mandatory one, but just company name is in your personal mail ID also you can give one. No worries. So you can see here and click on the continue. Okay. So you can see here, agree with the condition, click on the continue. Then inside the continue, what will happen like that? On choose your cloud providers. Okay. So currently we don't need to use the cloud providers. We need the Azure, but right now we don't need any cloud providers. You can don't need to be prompt. There will be an option called don't need to provide. Okay. So that way you can move on, create the community edition with your password and your mail ID. Then what happened after your completion? I think it will take 1 day of time. They will be sending some email address to you, and it will be like an OTP also given in your mail, same as normally how you can create, like same way you can create here also. For example, I'm just Devi Krishna R. I'm just given like Devi Krishna 7 at gmail.com. I'm just starting like a vision board. Okay, vision border, then senior technical consultant, then my phone number, then continue. Okay, so here you can see like if you want, there is an option called Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. So if you don't have cloud account, there's an option called to get started with the community edition. Okay, so team, you can see here, get started with this small portion. Okay, this small portion, don't need to click on anything because we are not using anything right now. They said start with the communication, important step. Click on this one. Okay, verify. You can verify. Please. Okay, then one more thing. Yes, so that means it's verified. And you can see here loading. And I will get a one OTP to my, you can see here. Thank you for sign up. You validated your email address for the free trial. So here are some resources. So the mail will be get in your mail ID. You can click on the mail ID and create the password and username. Okay. Once you get the password and username, it is easy to log in. This is a simple step you need to be start from your community edition. Okay. Team, please complete today itself. This is a mandatory task. Without, we cannot proceed because the next day onwards, the Saturday, before Saturday, you need to be complete because Saturday, I will be taking the sessions like completely on, like I will be assigned one task, same as we did in the Python, right? So that kind of session I will be taken. So without an idea or without an environment, you cannot proceed. So try to do this one today itself. Then once you complete your mail will be sending, you can click on there, reset the password, and enter into the community edition. Once you get on this, how you can enter means click on the community edition. Okay, community edition, I'm just Log out. This is the one you will get from here. Okay, these kind of sign into your community edition. This is the one you will get, and you can view like, then click on the sign in. Okay, this is the simple step you need to do from your side. Once you sign in, you can see this is the community edition. Okay, Databricks community edition. Here we are doing some of our practical session on the next day onward for the Pysprk session. Once Pysprk session is completed, I will explain you detail about the Databricks, and we can move into like a Databricks certifications and all. Then the first thing about how we will be the limitation of this one, you can see like this is a community edition. That means the Databricks is providing a some sort of time practice you somewhere in the community. You can do these kind of things in itself, but you cannot do that large scale of data processing or the project creation in this community edition. There's a limitation. Okay, that is the one thing you see here. You are using the Databricks Community Edition, upgrade the unlimited clusters, collaboration features if you want the upgrade. But it is costly for the initial stage. We don't need this one. So how you can create this one where we need to be practiced like you can see here there's a click, okay, create button. In the create button, there's a notebook. This is our space exactly we learn about in our Python notebook. Same thing, the notebook is there. Here's a line code. We can once you do the things you can see here Python and the different languages also there. This is the space we will be writing our code. Then when you creating this one, you can rename it. For example, PySpark session. Okay, Pysprk session. Then here also you can see here a connect button. In the connect, create a new resources. I will tell you how you can create it and create a cluster. Then it will be when you execute anything, it will be running here. This is the one you need to, this portion you need to complete before you coming into the Saturday session. This is a mandatory thing. Okay, then coming into the back to our normal portion, then I can tell you some of the additional features and all. Here, additionally, this is a one way you can learn about Pyspark and all, but different ways are there. Maybe if anyone is working in a Pyspark, other environment also available. So here also, what will happen like Anaconda distribution, like notebook in the we already write on the notebook, right? Same way also we install some of the Java framework and all. We can easily use the Pyspark code in the notebook. But why I am choosing this one? We need to learn about because when you practicing these things in the database community edition you will get more chances to learn in the database also. That is the reason I'm suggesting you to take a database community edition rather than any other thing. Then the Pyspark, we can learn the Pyspark in the different ways also. Okay, give me 1 minute. Okay. So here in the real time, the Pyspark we can use for the machine learning purposes, data scientist community, and thanks wide variety of machine learning libraries also we can use. Mainly, this is used for Pyspark is used for. You can see here, Spark run operation on billion and trillions of data on the distributed cluster is 100 times rather than it is faster than the normal Python application. That is the reason people are moving into like a Pyspark coding or Pyspark application. Then then we are moving into why we who uses the Pyspark. You can see here Pyspark is a well used in the data science machine learning community. There are many widely used data science libraries written in the Python, including the NumPy, TensorFlow, and also it is efficient processing of the large amount of data set. Interview question you can note somewhere why this Pyspark is. It will be capable of dealing with the large number of data set. Then Pyspark has been used in many organizations like Walmart, Trivago, Snowflake. People are using these kind of application because they need to be process the large amount of data. So there are the huge openings in the Databricks side. Try to expert on the Databricks part. Then some of the capabilities. Why this Pysprk feature? For example, in-memory computation, lazy evaluation. These are the interview question. In-memory, what is in-memory computation? What is lazy evaluation? Always asking question. These are the question I got in when I attended the Stride Electric. Then inbuilt optimization, cache persistence, immutable, NSA SQL support, fault tolerant, support Spark Yarn, Mesos cluster manager, distributed processing. We can go one by one. Okay. The first one will be in memory computation. In memory computation means if you think like you are accessing the data every day. Okay. You are accessing one data every day. What will happen? I will take a paint also. Okay. So I think you can see my screen. First, we will be discussing about in memory. So every day we are using, this is our in-memory compute in the cloud cluster, and this is our, okay. So every day we are using one data. For example, every day we are using, the client will be using the same data every day, like a one day and the next day, next day. Then what the computer will think, okay, they don't need to be, anyway, this man or this client is using the data every day, why need to be stored in a database? We can store the specific amount data in a memory of portion. So this is the, for example, this is the hard disk. Don't need to look all the hard disk for this particular data. Whatever is typically using, we can store in here. Every day the client is coming and checking the data, they can directly access the data without checking the hard disk. So time will be, we can save the time. So that is called the in memory. Okay. So this is available in the, this is the one of the feature of Spark. The in-memory computation refers to the method of processing and storing the data primarily in the main memory like RAM for a computer system rather than relying heavily on the disk based on the storage or the external resources. It involves loading and manipulating the data in a computer memory, which offer much faster access, not the point, much faster access and processing time compared to the traditional disk based operation. Okay, processing time is very less as compared to the traditional one. That is the first point about the Spark in memory. Okay, team, you clear? And second thing will be the distributed processing using the parallelization. So the distributed processing using the parallelization function is a technique on the Apache Spark allow you to distribute the data across the cluster computer, perform the parallel computation that it is commonly used for distributed computation task in a large amount of data processing. So how it will be looks like, okay, large amount of distributed. Maybe you aware about distributed. This is the one important term in the cloud computing, distributed computing. Okay, so how it will be like that? This is the first thing. This is your driver. Okay, so you are getting a 400 crore or 500 crore data set. So you can think like that much of data we are getting, then they need to be, the client need to be within 1 hour. Okay, the all the data you need to be processed. So how you can, it is directly coming into driver node. The driver node need to allocate some of the worker node. Okay, so you can see here worker node, here also you can see like worker node, and worker node. So this is called a worker node. Then what will happen if you allocate it this way? This amount of data will be allocated to here and here and here and here and here. So this way it will be allocated. That means this 500 crore, maybe you can allocate it to 1 crore, 1 crore, 1 crore. So this way 500 computers you can allocate. So otherwise you can allocate it like 100. Okay, for an example, 100 crore data. So the, here also 100 crore and 100 crore, then 100 crore. That means 500 crore. Then you think like, okay, this is not enough to handling this much of data. Then what you can do here, you can allocate one more driver. So that means 50 crore and 50 core. That means division will be happen. This is called distributed computing. Your data is distributed across the smaller computer, like a parallel computer with the same time. That also available in the Pysprk. When you're using the Pysprk, it will be also automatically done there. That is the other thing you can see here. That is also available in our Spark. That is also important interview question. Then coming into like a cluster managers, I will tell you that maybe you are aware about means Spark architecture. Team, do you aware about Spark architecture? Please let me know in the chat. Spark architecture interview question. No, okay. Team, anyone know? Please let me know in the chat. Interview question, very important interview question. Without this one, Susanda, you aware about? Okay. Okay, great. So I will explain. Not in somewhere. Every interview they will be asking this question. Even though we are not working in the Spark, they will be asking this question. So the Spark architecture means whatever I tell you that in the previously, like same thing. For example, this is called one portion. This is called our driver node. Okay, driver. So in the Spark architecture, three components are there. First one will be driver. Okay, driver. Second thing will be worker. And third thing will be resource manager. Okay, driver, worker, and a resource manager. These are the three components of the Spark architecture. Then coming into like how it will be distributed, like this organization is like there is a okay, this is called a driver, this is called a resource manager, and this one is called a worker. Okay, worker 1 and worker 2 and worker 3. Then how it will be allocated like that, the driver node. Okay, you can see in the picture, I will show you here. Mm, yes, so you can see this is the first picture you need to understand in your mind. So here the driver program and a cluster manager or resource manager, it will be like a worker node inside the executed cache task. It will be dividing this way. So first thing, if you're getting a task like a, I already mentioned 500 crore data. Crore data means you can think like 500 rows of record or an my Excel, not Excel file, like a data, a table contain 500 rows of data, maybe 10 years of financial data. That kind of data you can assume in your mind. So 500 rows of records are there. So we are getting this record. They are telling in 1 hour they need to process the data. So first the driver node, the data is arriving into like a driver node. This driver is responsible to within 1 hour you need to be completed these processing. So mainly this data like an SQL. You can think like this is SQL. Our aim is to this one need to be converted into Parquet and store in the ADLS Gen 2 using the database cluster. Purification we need to do. Then this one, the 500 crore data will be directly in the resource manager. Resource manager check what are the available worker. For example, here it is like 100, so it will be allocated. Only three worker nodes are currently available. Then how it will be allocating like that? 200, 200, and 100. Okay, so this way it will be allocating in the worker node if you have a three worker node. Then once it will be completed, how it will be goes like, because anyway the 100 record, the 100 this portion will be completed. Then once it is completed, it will be passing like a resource manager, I am completed it. Then it will be like a trigger also, okay, I'm just completed this one. So these kind of thing you will get from here itself. Then what it will do, any of the worker is like a 200 is pending, like a remaining portion it will be there, so it will be allocated to here also. This is called the Spark architecture, the allocation of data into worker nodes based on the resource manager. Here the resource manager is the main thing. You can see here driver node, cluster manager. It will be allocating the task to different worker node, and worker nodes also directly access to the driver program. So this way it will be updating. Any of the worker is completed their work, it will be updated in the resource manager, and any of the pending tasks are there, resource manager automatically allocated to the free worker node. This way we can initiate the like a parallel processing. So you need to be understand this point. Once it completed, it will be saving into like a Parquet format into the ADLS Gen2 location. Then in the Databricks, we have capability to create the cluster. That is the one thing I just want to tell you. So how in the Spark, we don't need to consider about Spark in the Databricks. Databricks also we can see the worker node and a driver node. So there is an option called, you can see here, compute option. Okay, in the here there's a compute option. These all are the clusters I created previously. But in the normal, this is a community edition. We have a limitation to create the clusters and all. That is the reason I'm telling like we have a limitation previously like creating the cluster in the large amount of data processing. But a small data we can process here itself. So how it will be like that? Create a compute. You can see here free 15 GB and there's a limited period, zero worker. You can see in the top. Okay, I'm just okay. You can see here. Here in the database communication limitation, zero worker. Okay, only zero worker. There is a no workers are available. 0 GB memory, 0 crore, 0 DPO. But in the driver cases, only one driver are available, and it will be 15.3 GB memory, 2 crore, 1 DPO. DPO means database unit. These are the only driver is available. But if you use the means upgrade option like a paid option, you can see how many different workers you can allocate. Driver also you can create high, the workers also create high, because large amount of data processing. But in the database communication they are providing only one thing. Then second, a drawback of the community edition means once you create a cluster, for example, I'm creating one cluster. That means a cluster contain only one driver. The driver is handling all the data. So we don't have to create these kind of architecture here. We have only driver only in the Databricks. So I'm just creating Davis cluster. Okay, Davis cluster 5. And you can see here, this is my Databricks runtime edition. This is the tested option. So I'm just using this one. This is the Databricks runtime version, and this is the memory. So these are the, you can see here, if you need to be upgrade yourself. That is the only option. Then create the compute. So it will take some time for running. Okay, so you can see here this portion, my cluster is running right now. And once you create the means database cluster drawback is once you create the cluster, it will be off after 2 hours. Normally 2 hours. Then we don't need to be restart the cluster. We need to create a new cluster. That is the one thing about the drawback of the database communication. So every time you need to practice the session, you need to create a new cluster. But in the normal paid option, like, and I will show you after some time. So we can, because once it off, you need to click on restart, it will be up, and you can write the code there. So that is the option is available in the paid option. But the community edition, every day you need to be practicing these kind of options. You need to create a new cluster, but don't use the same cluster name in the next day. It will not work. I think hope you're clear this kind of point. Remember in your mind. Hmm? Then this is about the cluster. Then coming into our back to our point, like, okay, this is our architecture and the rest of the things. Fault tolerant. Fault tolerant means any of the system, okay, any of the system, they are understandable. For example, any of the issues are fault tolerant system is designed to handle recover from failure without causing the complete system failure. Any of the failures will happen, it will be recovered. Don't lose the data. That is called fault tolerance. That is also available in the Pysprk. And the fourth point means immutable. So if you create one thing, if you create one data set or RDD, once you create, it will not be changeable. That is called a immutable, such as RDD. RDD, the asking question, resilient distributed data set. But currently, one of the asking question means RDD data set data frame. I will tell you that difference is I will tell you on the coming days. And here you can tell like the resilient distributed data set is immutable. Nowadays we are using the data frame, most commonly data frame. Means resilient distributed data set is already out of date. Then second thing will be the lazy evaluation. This is asking interview question, always asking interview question. So lazy evaluation, it's a programming technique where the evaluation of the expression of a computation is delayed until the result is explicitly needed. In lazy evaluation, expressions are not evaluated immediately when they are defined or assigned rather than the evaluation. So I will tell you how it will be looks like. For example, asking question, that is the reason I'm taken this time. So team, this is you need to be in your memory. Asking interview question, new. Don't save. Okay. So here you can understand like a lazy evaluation. For example, your code like print 5 into 10. Okay. Then this is the one code and you are creating a def new record passing 10 and 10 into n. So these kind of things, your multiple record, then it will be like 1 into 10 into 2 into. So these kind of expression you are processing. So normally the Python is interrupted or the Python is interpreted line by line until the execution is needed. Until the execution is needed, they will be delaying, because in the previous option we don't need to answer of this one, we don't need to create it, right? So that kind of thing is called a lazy evaluation. So the programming technique, this is a programming technique, and the expression, the evaluation of the expression will delay it until it is needed. Whatever the time it is needed, that time only it will be processed. Before we don't need to process. That will help us to our time need to be saved. Then the cache and persistence. Caching and persistence is a technique used for the optimization performance of the RDD and the data frame storing their contents in memory on the disk. These techniques help to avoid unnecessary computation of the RDD or data frame, enable the faster access of data during the interactive or iterative or interactive computation, caching and persistence. Then inbuild optimization using the data frame. Then support ANS. ANSI means same of the SQL things is supported in the previously. These are the things are supported in the Pysprk. That is a more reason Pysprk is recent days is very high demanding in the industry. Then moving on the next thing, advantages of Pysprk. We already discussed about Pysprk is more faster than the traditional one, and you can see here general purpose main memory different computation engine and 100 times faster than the traditional system you will get using the data ingestion pipeline everywhere. Like Hadoop, HDFS, these things we don't need, but you can understand using everywhere in the Pysprk. Then real-time data processing, especially streaming, Kafka. This is also we can process with the PySpark. And with the Python, we have some limitation. And streaming file system and PySpark natively machine learning and graph libraries. Okay, then this is the Spark architecture. Okay, PySpark architecture also same. You need to be understand this one question. Then different cluster managers. So you can see here in the resource manager or cluster manager. Normally we can identify this is like a one thing like a Apache Mesos, Hadoop Beyond, Kubernetes. These are the some of the items are available for support in the Spark. But in the database, we don't need to be more bothering about it. It will be already handled by the code itself, in the database itself. Then some of the packages. Okay, the package wise you can see here Spark RDD and PySpark data frame SQL, PySpark streaming, PySpark ML lib, PySpark graph frame, Pyspark resources. These are the something is available in the Spark structure itself. Then coming into the installation, I already tell you like different ways you can install the item in your system, in your data, different ways you can install the item. But my suggestion, you need to create a database community edition, what we discussed earlier, right? So you can see here my cluster is already done. Okay, my cluster is already up. Then next thing, you need to create a, I already created a notebook, right? Recently I created a notebook. You can go to the recent. Then this is the one I created 23 minutes ago. I created. Click on this notebook. Then here you need to connect this one, this green icon showing, right? That is the already up one cluster. So you can see here it is like, then whatever the things you want, you can write in the here itself, like the same as the Python notebook. Then here there's a corner, there's a run button. Then you can directly run it. It will be show the result also. Then coming into our portion, okay, the Pyspark installation. But my suggestion, you need to go like a directly like a database communication, different ways like an Anaconda framework, anything we can use. But mainly this is the best way. Then we are moving like in RDD. This is normally we are not using RDD, but the interviewer, because what happened like the interviewers are already working on the Spark kind of thing. The Spark and the big data kind of thing started in, I think, 2015 or 14 onwards. Big data kind of concept is started. Like a Spark also started. Then maybe they are more working on the Spark structure. The interviewer, they will be asking more about Spark also, like at least in the basic question, what is repartition, what is broadcast variable, and what is the structure of the Spark. So these questions we can expect. What is RDD? And so that is the reason I'm telling, like while preparing, you need to be understand the term and you need to be exact idea about why we are using. Here itself, what is RDD? If you get this question, you need to be mentioned. RDD stand for resilient distributed data set. Distributed means whatever the data, it will be distributed throughout the worker node. Then it is a fundamental data structure in the Apache Spark, which is a distributed computing framework. RDD represent a fault tolerant collection of the element can be processed parallel across the cluster of computers. For example, you can see here, this is the RDD. It contains a cluster, and whatever the data is coming into the RDD, it will be allocated to node 1. You can see here node 1, partition 1, node 2, partition 2, and partition 3, partition 4. This way it will be allocated. Then you can see here node 1, partition 1, and node 2, partition 2. It will be like collection 2 this way. These are the system is available in the RDD. This is the answer for what is, if they are asking like what is RDD. Then you can see here data. It's like a basic thing. What is RDD? Resilient distributed data set. It is fault tolerant. It will be recovered from the any of the errors in between the data transfer. But it is like an immutable data set. Anything is happen. Node 2 has two partition where actually it's like only one partition, not one partition, and it will be like it will be not three. Based on upon, if you want to add more partition, sometime the not more data we need to be doing. So it will be based upon our data. Once it completed, it will be like node 1, node 2. It is completely the data set. Whatever the data we have, it will be size, the based on the site, it will be increasing. That is the main reason. Doesn't know much that kind of thing. But sometime what will happen in node content we are allocating, I already discussed about the previous example, right? For example, 500 crore of data we are allocating to 200, 200, 100. But some of the partition may 100 means when you try to allocate it in an equal one, but sometime it will be allocated type and unparalleled also. So that is we can see here in the node 2. It's like a node 3, node 3. So you can see a node 3, it will be partitioned. It will be based upon the data allocation. That's it. Then okay, then it will be like you can see here it's an immutable collection, and once you create an RDD you cannot change it. Each data set is already divided into logical partition, which can be computed different node in a cluster. So now you have some doubts also, maybe how it will be thinking like that. So here I am a user, or I am a business owner. I am the business owner of Amazon. You can think like that. So every day maybe I can expect 1 lakh or 10 lakh of transaction will happen all over the world. So that need to be, if you consider like a 1 year, what will happen? 365 into 10 lakh. So that much of data I need to process in a last year, last FY 2022 or 2023, I need to process all the data. So the data, I am the business owner, I will be allocating this data, and this is called the main node, like a driver node. This driver node will be allocating into like a compute node 1, compute node 2, compute node 3. So this way it will be allocating three different, means eight different. Then it will be based upon the data. The data will be allocated, some of the data will be allocated here, some of the data will be allocated this one, and this way it will be allocated. And the file servers, shared disk also, if you need additional item, the shared disk also available. Then one thing you need to be remember, if you allocated equally without equally, what will happen? There will be some issues will be happen, right? If you have a like an 8 million record, if you think like 8 million record, so total 8 million record is coming, 1 million here, 1 million here, 1 million here, 1 million, then 8 million is allocated equally throughout this system. Okay, that is an easy one. But if you think about some of the system, we are allocating unparalleled. For example, one record, this compute node we are allocating type 4 million, this one 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million. What will happen? There is a called this data skewness. So distributing the data also very important when you coming into these kind of thing. That data skewness is the main issue. If you ask in the interviewer what is the issue you will be facing in the data side, data allocation, you can tell like data skewness. So I was when I tried to means allocating the data based on one id, that time it was not a correct one. So data skewness I face. So these kind of answer you need to be telling the interviewer also. So this is the one, and you can see here. Okay, data skewness. When the data skewness, that is the issue. When uneven distribution of data is called a data skewness. I think hope you are clear, right? Data skewness. I will show you here. Data. This is the normally asking in the question in the Spark. Okay, you can see like we have a data, the partition 1, partition 2, partition 3, and partition 4. So all the data, this much of data, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That means this 9 records are pointing into one partition. Then this partition 2 contain only one data, one piece of data. Partition 3 will contain the two piece of data. And the partition 4 there's no data. So you can see like the partition 1 is overloaded. These kind of situation is called data skewness, so uneven distribution. But if you think like a differently, you can see like one is allocated to partition 1, and this one also here, and this one also here. You can see here 3 in the partition 1, 3 in the partition 2, 2 in the partition 3, 3 in the partition. This way also you can allocate it easily. This is the best approach, but this is not a good approach. This is called a data skewness. So whenever you get a data, you are responsible for allocating the data into correct format. So I think in the later lectures, right, coming into the database portion, I will tell you how you can feel. Now I'm just telling like this is also like an interview question. Interviewer will ask this question. Then coming into here, You can see here configuration cluster will be allocated, and this way it will be, you can go like this way. Then RDD creation. Okay, so RDD creation means resilient distributed data creation is a simple one. Normally, how you create it, there are some steps are there. I will tell you, but no need to. This is the previous one. Now we are not using these things. In order to create the RDD, you need to create a Spark session. Spark session is the first session. The data is coming. You can see in the here in the you can see here, this is the Spark context in the diver program. Inside the Spark context was there, that is also like an interview question. What is the difference between the Spark context and the Spark session? In the old Spark version, we are using the Spark context, the initial cases, but nowadays after the Spark 2.0, it will be replaced with the Spark session. Nowadays everyone using the Spark session. I will show the code also. Okay, not here. Yes. Okay, you can see here when you're creating the items, right? When you're creating a code from Spark SQL.import Spark session, not Spark context, Spark section, and Spark equal to create Spark session dot builder dot app name product analysis get or create. So this is the way you are creating a Spark session. So this is the programming concept. When you're creating this one, it will be identified. Okay, some app builder or app name is already there. Then we are using that particular thing in here itself. Previously, it is like an RDD, but now we are not using that one. Then, but you need to understand. Then builder dot new session method of the Spark session. Spark session internally create the Spark context variable. You can create the multiple Spark session in the object, but only Spark context per JVM. Spark session we can create the multiple, but in the like a Spark context is only one. That is the main thing you need to be understand. Then second question they will be asking like what is the difference between the Pysprk faster than pandas? Maybe if you work on the machine learning project and all, you aware about the pandas also. The pandas also a Python library help to like a machine learning process and all. But here there is a statement is called Pysprk faster than pandas. Due to the parallel execution of all the cores of the multiple machine, Pysprk run the operation faster than pandas. In other words, pandas data frame run operation on a single node, whereas Pysprk run in a multiple machine. That is the main difference. Why this Pysprk is faster than pandas? Panda is using only one single system, but Pysprk is using or dividing the data into multiple nodes. That is the main reason Pysprk is faster. Then different ways you can create like create an mdrdd and data frame with the schema struct type, convert the mdrdd to data frame. But we need data frame, mainly data frame and data set also. This is like an introduction, because this way also we can create rdd to data frame also we can create. So you can see here, this is the other one, how to display a data frame and all. Then struct field, struct type, then these kind of thing. Okay, so these are the main thing you need to be look about in here itself. This is some of the Spark session when how it will be creating on Saturday session, right? Saturday session we will be discussing everything, like in what is Spark, things. I am just explaining everything one by one. What is collage, repartition, main in the interview questions also I will ask you what is the difference between the filter and the where condition, duplicate and drop duplicate, null condition. So these things I will be repeating on the Saturday. So Saturday session we will be focusing completely on the like how it will be processing, like whatever the data, what are the components in the spice part where we can use. Then the Monday we have a test, and next day we will be practicing PySpark test. I will be allocating some PySpark test, same like this real time scenario. Like I will tell you, like in the Make My Trip, Agoda, Posh, these kind of companies are their interview will be like a Python question. Same thing. For example, you can see in the Python question, the customer order, a data set contain order ID, these kind of thing. Calculate the total revenue generated from all the orders, or top 5 orders with the highest total amount. So if you are comfortable with the SQL, you can easily write the Pysprk. So that is the one update from my side also. Okay. So this is the one thing I'm just sharing. This also don't need to be, just look what is Pysprk, and task is to create a Databricks thing also, Databricks community edition. Okay. Team, any doubt you have, please let me know in the chat. Yes, yes, Renda. Node and machine